Alright, hey guys, welcome back to the Ginyu Farce Dragon Ball podcast. This is episode number 7. We're finally back. My name's Alex, and I'm here with John.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
It has been a while. Man, we did this last one like 4 weeks ago, and I haven't really talked to you much since then. How you been?
Alive.
Yeah, I had
Filled with
holiday.
the Super Saiyan spirit.
Yeah.
No, Christmas was a blur. New Year's was a blur. I was happy for 2022 to be over and get back on schedule. So, yeah.
I feel that. I mean, I like, Christmas is great, spending time with your family, and New Year's is good, you hanging out with friends. It's kind of like Christmas is family, New Year's is friends. But, yeah, it was a whirlwind, and I'm kind of glad for it to be over, and just kind of settle back in and get used to some routine. So,
anyway, and you got a bigger family than me, too.
I do. That's true. Yeah, lots of people. So we're here with episode number 7. This is the Tien Shinhan Saga.
Wait, we're not going to talk about your family more?
Well, what do you want to know?
We can do the podcast.
The Tien Shinhan Saga came out in October of 1987 in Japan and December 2002 in the U.S. And I'm pretty sure I remember this airing, I think, because I would have been 12.
Yeah.
And I do remember watching the Tien Saga on Toonami.
Yeah.
So
I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember the features, like catching the new episodes.
Mm-hmm.
But I do remember the reruns.
Okay. Yep, gotcha. So, as always, just before we get started, we're on, we have a link tree. It's linktr.ee/thegfp. There you can find all of our links, Instagram and where our podcast is. And we've got our episode guide on there as well, so you can kind of see what episode of the podcast talks about what episode of the show. We also have an email. It's the Ginyu Farce podcast at gmail.com, so feel free to send us an email, and we'll talk about your questions or whatever, or your comments. So episode 6, we'll just give a little recap here. So that was the Fortune Teller Baba Saga, and basically, in a nutshell, Goku and the gang travel to Baba's palace. She explains that they need to take part in a competition in order to get a wish granted, or a vision. So they agree, and Appa and Puar together defeat the first opponent, Fangs the Vampire. Yamcha defeats number 2, See Through the Invisible Man. Goku defeats 3 and 4, Bandages the Mummy and Spike the Devil Man. Goku fights mysterious fighter number 5, and reunites with his grandfather after the fighter removes his mask. So that's like the big reveal. It's his Grandpa Gohan with a halo.
Wow.
I know, wow. And Fortune Teller Baba uses her crystal ball to find the final Dragon Ball, and Goku goes and gets it from Pilaf. From Pilaf, nice throwback. And Bora comes back to life by Shenron, and Goku sets off to train by himself for the next tournament in 3 years. And that's where we are right now. It's been 3 years, so it's the year 753. Goku is now 16 years old. We last saw him at 13. In our first episode, this is a long one. There's 18 episodes in this saga. It was almost long enough to do 2 parts, but
yeah, this one wasn't.
So episode
for you, the viewers.
Yes, it's going to be a doozy. Buckle up, people. So episode 84, Rivals and Arrivals. Master Roshi and his group arrive at Papaya Island. Goku arrives to sign in at the last minute. What'd you think, John?
I mean, it's typical of, what we've seen so far as setup episodes go. I mean, the nice thing and the bummer about this arc is that, we've seen this movie before with Jackie Chun. So we're just getting set up, we're meeting everybody. We're all on a plane, Yamcha and Bulma have haircuts to signify that time has passed. Launch is still angry. Everyone gets signed up. You get the recurring theme of, oh no, where's Goku? And Goku's not here. He's not gonna make it. Like they would even start the tournament without him. And,
right.
We do meet. Yeah, we do meet a new character in Master Shen, who is Roshi's rival and the master of the crane school. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Kind of a cool idea, right? To see I like Master Roshi's story and his lore, because we don't really. It's not just given to us. We learn it slowly over time.
I was gonna say, even at this point, we
don't know.
We don't have a ton of information about Master Roshi's young life.
But it's pretty cool to see this is who he. It's almost like his Krillin, kind of at the beginning, his rival. It's cool. And there's two people behind him, but we don't really know who they are yet.
I want to preface this to anyone watching the actual anime. We skip the filler episodes. You do meet the two people we're about to introduce in a previous episode.
Oh yeah, that is true. Yeah,
but if you're skipping filler, this is your first time meeting all of them.
Yep. So, yeah, and you can see it on our Google Doc. It shows which episodes we skipped. I think it was 80 through 83, because they're just completely filler. There's no scenes that are in the manga. So
all I'm saying is that that's a good episode. That little 3-episode arc. It's actually it's about Tien and Chaozu working with a wild boar to scam money from the villagers, and then the boar ends up getting captured, and basically the boar is actually a nice boar, and so
it's a talking animal.
I don't know if it doesn't talk.
Oh, okay.
But it understands human speech and can follow human speech. And so basically, they're going to kill the boar, and Tien kind of leaves it there to die, and Goku ends up saving it. And then Goku and Tien get into a little fight, and I believe Tien hits Goku through some trees, and they go their separate ways. It's not a full altercation, but that
interesting. So he's just
that does mysterious.
You're who was that guy? And then we see him again.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit more explanation to it than that, but nothing of substance.
Interesting.
But yeah, so anyways, getting back onto our main story. The two people behind him are those people.
Yeah, and speaking of filler, I feel like there's quite a bit of filler in this saga in particular. We get some scenes they're all playing cards, and they're going out to eat, and it's just kind of okay, kind of mundane stuff, but I don't mind it.
I think a lot of it is just reminding you of the first tournament. Reminding you of all the stuff that's offered, and then almost even expanding on how popular it is.
Mm-hmm.
But that pretty much. Oh, I guess we go into the next morning. And then we see that there's 182 fighters, and we haven't seen anyone that we know yet.
No, we have not.
And that kind of leads us.
We haven't seen anybody that was in the last tournament. So.
Yep. And that kind of leads us into the next episode, which is Preliminary Peril. That's a fun one to say. Mm-hmm. Episode 85. Members from the Turtle and Crane schools, as well as Jackie Chun, proceed through their preliminary matches. The bad blood between the two schools' students is escalated. Goku begins his battle against former champion King Choppa during one of the preliminaries. I liked this episode. This was a fun episode. I like the preliminaries almost always.
Yeah, I do too, because it really kind of shows the progression that the characters have made.
And then there's always something silly too. There's always some gimmick.
And I love when in Dragon Ball when they like all of the sudden there's like this huge threat that you didn't know anything about. Like in the last episode we had no idea who King Choppa even was, and then in this episode they're like, oh shit,
holy crap,
King Choppa, Goku
he's already won a world martial arts tournament.
And it's like, okay, like we know that this is the preliminaries and that Goku's gonna advance, but it was a fun little fight anyway.
I think it was a fun fight, and I think it was a statement that Toriyama and everyone over there was trying to make. That's like, this is like where Goku's at. Like, this is the base.
Yeah.
So everyone else just, duck. He's about to turn left, and he doesn't want to smack you with a stick.
Yeah, and Krillin fights a guy that looks like Andre the Giant, and everyone's like, oh my god, he won that fight, and it's like, you guys don't like remember that he was in the last tournament and he like got really far. It's like,
yeah,
people just forget. But
or like, didn't he fight a really big dude? Oh no, I guess he fought his old classmates last time, but I thought he fought like a really big dude in the preliminaries last time.
Yeah.
That's a kind of a reoccurring theme.
I also thought it was funny how, having watched Z, you know that like Tien is like this very like calm, like spiritual, like guy, and he's like very like clearly like meditates and like all this stuff, kind of like Piccolo and Z. But in this, he's just like a raging douchebag. Like he is such a prick. Like he is just constantly like shit talking. Like, he makes Gary Oak look like a really nice guy. Like, he's like, because he's just always has something to say.
Yeah, think of like the meanest and rudest person and then just times it by 2. And that's Tien. That's like, the first like half of the saga.
Like, think of like that guy that you went to middle school with that like was a bully, and nobody said anything to him because he could like back it up, and he was unstable, and you didn't know what he was capable of, but he would just always just have something, and that's like Tien basically, but Tien's like times 10 of that.
Yeah, it really is.
I was laughing at just like what an asshole he is. It was great. He's so cocky. And Chiaotzu, we meet Chiaotzu here too, and he's like, I don't know, there's something wrong with him. But what did you think of Chiaotzu at the beginning?
Chiaotzu is it was weird. Like, I didn't think I was like, what the fuck is this thing?
Yeah. Because he's just like this tiny little guy, and he's white, like white as a ghost.
Like mime makeup almost, like a little tiny mime, and he always has this. I don't want to say it's a yarmulke, but it's kind of like a fucking yarmulke.
And he's got these huge eyes that are always wide open, and he like gets a little bit of like beef with Krillin, so there's like a little setup there because he like calls Krillin short, but like Chiaotzu's obviously really short, and I think he calls him bald, and Krillin's like, what are you talking about? You're bald. And then he removes his hat, or his yarmulke, and there's one hair on the top.
Just one singular hair.
Oh, so
okay,
funny.
So that does bring up another question. So if those are yarmulkes, does that make Tien and Chiaotzu Jewish?
I don't know. Maybe. Those are... I almost hope not, because all the Jewish people I've met have been really nice, and these guys just aren't. I don't know. They would be an insult to Judaism, I think.
Oh, God.
If they were.
Yeah. And then just to continue the shit talking, Bulma and Launch end up with a shit talking match with Master Shen, too. So there's just It's a whole circle of shit talking going on.
And you can see where Tien gets it from, because Master Shen is like, he's like this old guy. He looks like I don't know. He looks like Mr. Miyagi from like Karate Kid. He's got like a Fu Manchu, and he's like always kind of hunched over. But he's
and he has a hat on all the time, and it has a crane head that comes out of it. It's freaking wild.
It's a weird hat. But he's just like Bulma and Launch are just like doing their thing or whatever, minding their own business, and Master Shen like seeks them out and starts like just talking mad shit to them, like out of the blue. Like you can tell where Tien gets it from, because Master Shen is like the same. And it's like, oh my god, this arc is like 18 episodes, and we're in for it here.
Speaking of which, that being said, back to the fight and to King Choppa, that's all built up that King Choppa is a world tournament winner already, and that he made it to the finals, I think, or maybe he won the tournament. He won the tournament without ever being touched. I mean, so that's the bar we're setting here.
Yeah. You would think that we would have heard of him before, but it's cool. So we don't actually see that fight in this one. The fight is in the next one, but it kind of sets it up. So they set us up for this like big fight with this guy that we've never heard of. So that brings us into 86, which is called Then There Were Eight. Goku defeats King Choppa, surprise, surprise, to proceed through the preliminaries. Tien fights Nam from the last tournament in the preliminary, and Goku, Yamcha, Krillin, Jackie Chan, Tien, and Chaozu all make it to the finals. We are introduced to King Choppa's 8 arms technique, and we get to see Nam again. So it was a fun episode. I think I liked it. King Choppa looked pretty cool. He was almost like picture like Hercule, but like if Hercule was badass looking. That's basically what King Choppa looks like. He's like taller and more muscular, and he doesn't have an afro, and he's a little more tan, but he's a cool looking guy.
Yeah, I mean, he could have been a lot cooler of a villain, honestly. But they just needed someone for Goku to plateau, or not plateau against, but just set a bar against. Yeah. And so yeah, and I love seeing Nam. Honestly, I didn't. I'm not gonna lie to you, I didn't. Every time Nam comes in, I'm like, God damn it, he probably needs water.
I'm like,
but this time he didn't. This time he didn't. He didn't need water. He was just here to fight against the greatest opponent he's ever faced, Goku.
Yeah. And I think they mentioned that. They're like, how's your village? And they're like, oh, it's good since Goku went and saved it or whatever. And yeah, King Choppa fights Goku, and he's got it's called the 8 arms technique, and he basically looks like E Honda from Street Fighter, if you ever used him, where he's just like, and his fists are flying everywhere. That's basically what King Choppa did.
Yeah. And then after Goku defeats him, you see Roshi, and Roshi goes through this whole thing that we kind of have been bringing up slowly in the past couple episodes, which is Roshi's like, holy shit, look at Goku, like, is he stronger than me? Like, what's going on? Meanwhile, he's in a match while he's having this whole thing. And then he, like, visualizes Goku in front of him and just, like, sends the dude soaring.
He has, like, a mental breakdown, kind of. Because it's like, he's like, it might be time to pass the torch. I don't know. Like, these guys are surpassing me, I think. Yeah. It's pretty cool. I don't know, Yamcha and Tien talk a lot of shit at each other.
We get a montage.
I really feel for Yamcha in this, not just in this arc, but honestly in the whole show, because he just always, the poor guy, he always loses, and it's always humiliating, but he's the most, like, real, I think, of all of the fighters. Like, he's...
Him or Krillin.
He's like an adult, and he's just like some guy that like is learning how to be a good fighter. Like he isn't born with really any natural abilities. He's just like a dude. And so he is sort of relatable in that way. But we'll see what happens to him later.
I just want to touch on it because you wrote it in here that I thought it was funny when Launch plays the shooting arcade game, but she plays it with live ammo, and it's just funny, just good comedy.
Yeah, there's a lot of Launch has a gun moments in this.
There really are, and it's good. It's good stuff.
She threatens to pull the gun on the plane in the first episode.
Yeah,
I was like, there's no way this aired. There's no way they put this on Cartoon Network in 2002.
Oh, fuck.
I feel like once an episode, there's like something where she's like, pulls a gun out or something happens.
Yeah.
And it's always fun.
I feel like this is the first arc where she's been more blonde-haired Launch than blue-haired Launch.
She has. She's blonde for pretty much all of it.
Mm-hmm. So then we see Nam going to the hospital, and once we circle back into the World Martial Arts Tournament. So yes. Nam's out. To my knowledge, we never see Nam again, which is fine by me.
I don't know if we do. Yeah, it's all right though. No big deal.
We find out that Tien is the one that sent him there. And I thought
we just see Nam come out in a stretcher, right? So
that's all you get.
Happened. And so that kind of shows us that like Tien, not only is he super strong, super aggro, and a douchebag, he can also kind of back it up, and he goes over where he needs to go because he didn't need to hurt Nam. He didn't need to do that to Nam.
He's very sociopathic.
He is.
Say. Like he almost enjoys hurting people.
He just like injured him, like probably permanently, and he's like, well, whatever, I don't care. So
he very much has that. It's not like this is not for fun. Like if you fight me, like prepare to like I'll fight you until you cannot move.
Right. He's a scary guy.
Yeah. And so, on that note, I think that is where we end the preliminaries. And so, Goku, Yamcha, Krillin, Jackie Chan, Tien, Shinhan, Chaozu, all in the finals. Obviously, you have a couple spots for fun. Mm-hmm. And we'll meet those people shortly. Moving into 87, which is Yamcha versus Tien. This really isn't much of the fight. It's more the setup. But the lots for the tournament finals are drawn. Match 1 commences between Yamcha and Tien. So we finally kick things off. And the announcer comes back.
Yeah, I love the announcer.
Gotta love the announcer.
He's awesome.
He's also consistent throughout all of Dragon Ball.
He is. He's always good. And he will be there for... He probably does it... He's like the guy from like WWE. Can't remember that guy's name. The guy who just... He's like
Dana
the announcer.
White?
He's been there for... No, I can't remember. Maybe he's not the announcer, but he's some guy that does it. He's been in it forever.
I don't watch wrestling.
Like always there. But me neither, but I kind of know of him. Anyway. But, so we kind of get set up, and we know that Chaozu has some sort of psychic abilities, we learned, because him and Tien are setting up who's going to fight who. He can like manipulate, because they draw out of a box, and he can like manipulate the paper so that
I forgot about
pick up
that.
certain ones. So they rig it. They're like, this is who's going to fight who. Because Tien wants to fight Yamcha, because that's like the biggest like.
He thinks that Yamcha is the strongest of all of Master Roshi's students, so he wants to get it out of the way.
Which makes sense from the outside, because he's an adult, right? He's the oldest. And he's doing the most talking, so you would think that he would kind of be the leader. Now
that I'm thinking about it, I want to say that when him and Goku met, Goku kind of got beat.
By Yamcha?
No, by Tien. When they met in their little filler. Like, not badly, but like, he was like hit, and then Yamcha and Chaozu like ran away for some reason. They had to go do something.
Okay.
But yeah, so it makes sense even more that
he's
he would think that
thinking like,
Yamcha's the
he's
strongest.
no big deal. Yeah. So we get Yamcha versus Tien, then Man Wolf versus Jackie Chun, Chiaotzu versus Krillin, and then Pampa versus Goku. So those are the 4 fights. And that part was good, obviously, for the storytelling, but there's a lot of like just gags in this one that were like just whatever. Like Oolong goes into the ladies' restroom to look for Master Roshi because no one can figure out that he's Jackie Chun.
They end up calling for him on the PA, like it's a thing.
And it's like we've kind of seen this gag before, but
like I said, we've kind of seen this movie already, but it's still fun. I still love the martial arts tournament.
Mm-hmm. And then Tien and Yamcha start fighting, and it seems pretty even so far. It's a good. It felt like a classic Dragon Ball fight, like a lot of action, a lot of high intensity moves, and a lot of quick cuts and fists flying all over the place. And it was I enjoyed watching it, and I was surprised that Yamcha was holding his own against Tien, at least for this episode. Yeah,
it was. I agree with everything you just said. It's a good fight. It's well animated, and that's kind of where we leave it off, and then going into 88, you see the title Yamcha's Big Break, and that means one of two things. So Tien Shinhan defeats Yamcha in match 1 and breaks his leg. The rivalry between Turtle and Crane School deepens.
Yes. So the fight is pretty even at this point, but Yamcha has his ace up his sleeve.
Yes.
His Wolf Fang Fist, which has evolved into the Wolf Fang Blowing Wind. So because it's always gotten him out of trouble, right? The Wolf Fang
it's always worked out so well for him.
As we know, never fails.
Yes.
So he uses it, and he gets a good hit in, I think, but Tien. It becomes pretty clear that Yamcha's just outclassed.
And it's nothing against Yamcha, but Tien's just ahead of him. Yeah.
And mean. And also Toriyama's a little mean because the episode's called Yamcha's Big Break, which makes you think either he got a big break in the sense that something worked out for him, or that something of his becomes broken, which it does.
And again, like you said, you got to give it to Yamcha because he pulls out everything he has, even to the point of we see yet another person who can now use the Kamehameha. And so he fires a Kamehameha at Tien Shinhan. And Roshi's like, don't do it! Like, don't do it! But he does it anyways, and Yamcha deflects the blast back at... Tien deflects the blast back at Yamcha, who dodges it, I believe, and then it hits right outside the crowd, definitely killed some people.
Yeah, that should have been.
And we never talk about it. Yeah, we just don't talk about it.
Tournament's canceled. 10 people just died in the first fight, but no, it goes on. And
then from there, it's pretty much over after the Kamehameha doesn't work. Yeah. That's the most powerful thing that we've seen out of any of the good guys so far. And so from there, it just becomes kind of that's when it becomes douchey, and that's when he gets knocked out, and confirm this. He knocks him out first, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's out. He's on the ground, clearly, I think his pupils are gone, so you know he's knocked out. And then Tien is still above him floating, and he fights over. But Tien decides to get another hit in and goes down and just breaks his fucking leg,
with his knee, just knee drops
for no reason, just to be a dick,
just for the sheer sexual thrill.
Yes, and so everybody's like, "What the hell, man?"
Everyone was like, come on.
That was kind of unnecessary, wasn't it? And then you see, it like cuts to Master Shen, and he's like got this like shit-eating grin on his face.
It is good Tien.
Yes. And then Puar takes Yamcha to the hospital, where he will be
on a magic carpet ride.
The majority of this arc, he'll be in the hospital. But
yeah.
One note about this is that, you know, when I was a kid and I was watching DBZ, it got to the point where you were like, okay, who can't become a Super Saiyan? Like, everybody's a Super Saiyan now. And that's how I felt in this arc with the Kamehameha wave. Because it's like, everybody is using it. It's like in every fight almost. Yeah. So I was kind of like, alright, so like, and I get it. It's like, it's a move that people can learn, and but it becomes less special, I think, because it's just like, everyone uses it. So, anyway, that concludes that episode.
Yeah, Tien says that Yamcha is the strongest of the three. There's no issues. They let Master Roshi back into the restaurant that he didn't pay his bill at last time, and they eat. We see that Man Wolf really hates Jackie Chun, too.
Yes.
They have a little cutaway of that. And just for some foreshadowing into the next episode.
We don't really know why, and I couldn't remember why either. But
I remember why.
Like, it occurs to me before the fight, and then I'm
that's
that's
silly.
Actually... Yeah. So
it's so
that
silly.
Brings us to episode 89, Full Moon Vengeance.
Repercussions.
2. Yes, match 2 between Jackie Chun and Man Wolf, with Jackie Chun winning the fight. So,
this episode brought me so much joy because I brought it up so many times about if there was ever going to be any repercussions for blowing up the moon.
Yes. And we learned that, in fact, his actions do have consequences because Man Wolf is a werewolf, and he changed when the moon was full, and then it was blown up, so he couldn't change back. So now he's stuck as this monster, and he's very mad, and it's Jackie Chun's fault. So at first,
he used to be gorgeous.
Yes, he was a beautiful man, and I don't know. I thought maybe Master Roshi like stole his girl or something. Like it's like I couldn't, at the beginning, piece it together, and then I caught it, and it was a kind of a funny thing, and it kind of shows like, okay, when things happen in this show, like there are consequences for it, which is pretty cool. We get a long recap of the moon blowing up in the last World Tournament, and Jackie Chun is like, Man Wolf explains himself, and Jackie Chun's like, whatever, man, I don't really care.
He's very indifferent.
Yeah, he doesn't give
the entire
a shit.
Fight. He's kind of like, he's actually, honestly, he's kind of a pretentious dick. Like, he's kind of like talking shit to him the entire time.
He's like making fun of him, right? Because he's like got his arms are like behind his back, and he's like still kicking his ass, like without even using his hands. But he pulls a knife on him.
Oh,
He has like a switchblade, which automatically disqualifies him, I think. So the fight's like over, but he doesn't care. He's just so mad that he just wants to.
Yeah, he just wants to hurt Jackie Chun. But what I thought was funny is that how he actually loses is that Jackie Chun literally has a ball, and he's like, "Here you go, boy." Throws it out of bounds, and he plays fetch, and that's how he loses. He already lost, but
yeah, I was like, man, that was actually pretty hilarious. Cause
it was a whole troll episode.
I was it a ball or a bone? I don't really remember, but
I think it was a ball, but it could have been a bone.
As soon as he sees it, he's like a dog, like he's obsessed, like he has to get the ball, and then he throws it out of bounds, and he just like runs after it, jumps right out, and that's it. What a humiliating way to lose.
I know. So then after that, he like brings Man Wolf back up on to the stage, and then he gets fucking Krillin, and proceeds to like hypnotize Man Wolf into thinking it's the moon, so he can change back. It was an absolutely bonkers episode.
He's like, look at Krillin's bald head under hypnosis, and it looks like a full moon, and it did change him back, which opens some questions for wolf
lycanthropy.
I guess he doesn't.
Isn't that what it's called?
For lycanthropy, yeah.
Yeah, lycanthropy.
He doesn't really need to actually see the moon. He just needs to think he saw it, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So now we know that Jackie Chun is going to fight Tien in the second round. And we know it's going to be good, right? But first we're going to do Chiaotzu versus Krillin. If you want to take us off to episode 90, John.
Yeah. The Dodon Wave is episode 90. Match 3 commences between Krillin and Chiaotzu. Tien Shinhan learns of and relays the news of Mercenary Tao's death at the hands of Gohan to Shen. So, this is a... Goku to Shen, yes. So this is a fun kind of tying everything together. We find out that Mercenary Tao is Master Shen's brother. Or do we? Maybe do not find that out in this episode. Yeah, we do.
I think
we do.
I think
so yeah. I don't remember how it comes up, but everyone is shocked. Master Roshi's shocked. Tien is shocked, and so it kind of like, for one, it shows Tien like, holy shit, like this kid, this kid's dangerous. I mean, anyone who
Tao is like a role model to Tien.
Yes. And then Master Roshi is like, please tell me that you didn't actually murder this guy. And he's like, no, I promise, I did it. And he's like, oh, Goku, for once I wish you were lying.
He was like, yeah, I kicked his ass real good.
Yeah, I thought it was so funny. The honesty out of him sometimes is great.
So that's like another example of repercussions in this show. But this is actually on a much larger scale, because we learn that it's all related. So, Master Shen is, does Tien tell Master Shen in this episode?
Yeah, he does. He does get back over. He leaves and goes over to Master Shen and tells him they're obviously crazy. Oh, that's why. I remember how this all came up. Chiaotzu and Krillin are fighting. And Chiaotzu can, for one, fly. He floats, like, all over the place. We already kind of saw that, but he floats all over the place. And he's pretty much almost, like, completely energy and, like, psychic attacks. He doesn't really have any physical...
He's a mage, right?
Yeah, he's a mage.
He's a glass cannon.
But so he pulls out the Dodon Wave. And so that obviously prompts...
It's a callback.
Yeah, prompts the whole callback, and yeah, that's kind of how that all comes together. Yeah. But yeah, so you see the Dodon Wave coming, and it's really, the rest of this episode is a lot of filler. Oolong has some pom-poms.
Yeah.
I mean, why don't you just take 91?
I just want to say real quick, I think Chiaotzu is the first fighter that we see fly. I don't think we've seen flight yet, right? Like, nobody can do it yet. Chiaotzu's the first one.
Yeah, he is the first one.
He's the first one. So.
And also, in Dragon Ball, it is not flying, it is called skydancing.
Skydancing. And the episode ends with Krillin also is going to use the Kamehameha. So another character that's going to use the Kamehameha wave. And that's kind of where it stops. Because Krillin's basically just like running around on the ground dodging Dodon waves, and he can't get a hit in because he can't fly. So that's where we leave off. So 91.
Yep. Which is
called,
counting controversy. Krillin uses the Kamehameha for the first time. Krillin defeats Chiaotzu to reach the semifinals. Master Shen attempts to assassinate Goku during the night. This was a silly episode.
So...
Go ahead.
Let's see. I'm trying to think. So he uses the wave, and he does get the hit in. I don't remember exactly how, but he does some like cool thing. He teleports behind Chiaotzu and then hits him in the back, I think, or something. But it was a good move, and I was happy for him. And then Chiaotzu starts like making Krillin nauseous. Like he can use his mind to like give him like GI upset.
Yeah, I think that part kind of irritated me. All he has to do is hold his hands up, like, you know, like like he's pointing his powers at somebody, and Krillin's like, ugh! And then he just can't move. And then Chaozu just kind of kicks him around.
But we learned that for a guy that can use all of these abilities, he's pretty dumb. Because Krillin wins using math. He asks him math questions, and then Chaozu has to use his hands to count, which means that he's no longer using that attack because he has to move his hands. So then that's how Krillin wins. I don't remember how he decided he was going to use math, or maybe I don't know how.
Master Shen yells out to Chaozu at one point, and he's like, "On your left," and Chaozu has to hold up his hands to figure out which one's
can't
left.
Remember which one's left.
Yeah,
he's like dyslexic or something.
Yeah, they win. I mean, Krillin wins. Shen's pissed. He's gonna make Chaozu do math. The gang goes to the hospital to celebrate, and then we're all sleeping, and someone breaks in and tries to kill Goku. That person kind of flees away. Goku chases him, because, Goku. And then finds out it's Shen, and they start to almost get into it, and Tien actually breaks it up.
Yeah.
It does bring up a good question. I don't know who would win in a fight between Shen and Goku.
Yeah,
I feel like Goku. I mean, he already killed Tao. And then that was 3 years ago.
Yeah. Probably Goku, but we don't really, because we don't see Master Shen really fight. We know he's strong because in a previous episode he shot at him with a machine gun, as she tends to do. And it's sort of like Roshi did in the General Blue arc. He just grabs all the bullets.
Yeah, he does.
Throws them on the ground, and he just walks away. So we know he's good, but I think Goku would probably win. I don't know. Just kind of it shows the furthers how these villains think. They're not honorable, right? They are just he was going to kill him in his sleep. That was his plan, which is kind of a first, There's no honor in these guys.
You're seeing more of the assassin than, the martial artist.
Yeah, and then Tien was like, no, you can't. Don't fight him, Master. I want to humiliate him in front of everyone in the ring. So then we kind of at that point, we're kind of all right, so we know that Tien and Goku are going to fight at the end. Right?
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, at least it's heavily implied. Which I think is kind of a bummer, because then we're kind of just waiting. It's we know that Tien's going to win his fights, and we know that Goku's going to win his fights. But,
to be fair, you kind of already knew Goku was going to go to the finals.
Yeah, we do pretty much.
And you kind of already could tell Tien was going to go to the finals.
Yeah, we kind of
I
know.
mean, this just kind of reinforced it, but this is a silly. The next episode, Goku enters the ring. Match 4 commences between Goku and Pamput, with Goku winning the fight. This episode is a lot of nothing.
It's kind of a dud. Yeah. You don't need to watch it, guys. You can skip it.
You really don't. The whole episode is they're explaining Pamput to be a movie star, and then his agent goes and spies on Goku while he's sparring with Master Roshi, because Master Roshi's trying to pick up chicks. And he sees Goku and how strong he is, and he's like, fuck. Pamput can't beat this motherfucker. And so then he tries to tell Goku that they're moving the fight. And so Goku just gets in the car with him and leaves. Somehow Launch, who has ice cream, manages to see him, get in the car, and he's like, what? No, Goku! So she steals a motorcycle, gets on it, chases them, throws ice cream at him, somehow basically gets Goku back to the stadium in time. Pamput thinks he's going to win, talks a bunch of shit, and then gets beaten in 20 seconds. Yeah. That's pretty much all we need to know.
That's pretty much it. Pamput is basically if, if The Rock was in the tournament. Kind of. He's a movie star, and he's probably pretty strong. But, he's an actor, primarily.
Yeah, that's fair.
and he gets hit in like one punch, right? Or it's like 3 punches really fast, but we only like see one, and then he's out, and that's the end. So it's basically like a bunch of antics and then a nothing fight.
And this is just something that I think is funny that you put in here, that the agent's name is Vodka.
Yes.
We'd be best friends in another life.
Vodka. That's something. So.
All right. So moving on. That's pretty much it.
93 is called Tien Shinhan versus Jackie Chan. Match 5 commences between the two. That's basically the whole episode. So there's like this weird thing where Jackie Chan is like at the shops, like talking to some girl about something, and I don't know. Tien tries to do something. Oh, Chiaotzu makes this kid's got a toy gun. A pop gun.
Yeah.
And Chiaotzu like makes the cork in the gun actually fire like a real bullet, because the kid's like aiming it at people and shooting it, and he aims it at Jackie Chun, and then Chiaotzu makes it a real bullet, and then Jackie Chun like leans forward, dodges the bullet, and they were like, "Oh my god, how did he see that coming?" And it turns out he was just leaning forward because he was like being a creep to this girl, basically, and like
one horny bonk.
Yeah, like gets up a little too close, kind of invades her personal space. And so there's like, that's like half the episode, and I'm like, dude, come on, can we just
build-ups for these fights?
Can we just move this forward? But the fight does start, and we learn that Tien can fly.
It's called sky dancing.
Sky dancing, excuse me. Thinking sky dancing. We will be referring to it as sky dancing for the entirety of this podcast.
Good.
So Tien can sky dance, and Jackie Chan uses his mirror image technique, like from the last fight, the last tournament. He did this with Goku, but Tien's got 3 eyes, right? So he can like see his movements really well, and he hits him, and it lands, and then Jackie Chan takes his shirt off, basically like sort of like Ash Ketchum when he puts his hat back.
Yeah.
He's like, all right, here we go. Like the sleeves are rolling up, it's time to really fight. So then they really just start wailing on each other. Like, they're both getting hits in, and they're both doing damage to each other. Like, you can tell. And that's basically where the episode leaves off. So,
and then,
they're pretty evenly matched.
Yeah. But, I mean, we saw that with Yamcha at the end of that first episode, too. Mm-hmm. So, going into this one, 94, stepping down. Jackie Chan steps out of the ring, allowing Tien Shinhan to win the match and proceed to the tournament final. Master Roshi retires Jackie Chan. This was, I think, like one of the best episodes in this.
It was a good one, definitely.
Yeah, this is the part where this arc starts to really take shape and take substance.
It only took 10 episodes, but we got there. We got there, guys. We did it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of character development and also really good fight scenes. What more can you ask for?
Yep. We haven't touched on this, but they have been showing periodically Yamcha in the hospital. And he's just kind of been sitting there. But the nurse... just doing the big sad boy. And a nurse takes pity on him and was like, hey, you look sad. Here's a radio. Yeah. And so then he can at least listen to the fight.
He's listening. What a nice gesture. Because he can, his window's open, and he can hear the crowd, outside the window, from far away.
He's just really doubling up on the sad boy.
Yeah, he's just, real, wah, wah.
And I swear to God, they cut to him at least once where he's like, oh. That's just a fucking sigh. Or something, pan to the window.
I wanted there to be, the music from Charlie Brown when he's, really sad. And it's, that little piano number.
Oh, God.
That's, would have been perfect for Yamcha in this whole arc, basically. But
right. Launch fires a gun into a crowd again.
She does it a lot, yep. And at this point, we're like, okay, Launch, whatever.
And this is episode we get another classic Dragon Ball technique, the solar flare.
Yeah, which we
And
see a
so,
lot of. This is a recurring move through the whole series, basically.
yeah.
Which is pretty cool. So it's introduced here by Tien. And so...
And with that, we get a great... Well, I guess we'll cover that in a second. But where when we use the solar flare, we see Jackie... Another kind of dirty trick. I don't know. I guess still like kind of dirty. Where he just comes down on the back of Jackie Chun's head. Or neck. Yeah. And
you would think, like, I don't know, no hits above the chest, I would think. I don't know. Like, let's keep it simple.
Yeah.
You know? No hits in the dick and no hits in the head. Seems reasonable.
Yeah.
But he goes, but that's Tien, you know? And so, like, during this fight, while they're, like, kicking at each other's asses pretty evenly, Chun is, like, talking to Tien about, like, his evil ways and, like, telling him, like, you'll never realize your potential when you are so bent on being an asshole, basically. And Shen can
that's
see
a direct
this too.
quote, by the way.
Yeah, that's what he says, exactly. And so Shen is hearing this, and he's kind of like, all right, who is this guy? You know, and then he, like, uses a move to see if it's Roshi. He thinks it's Roshi, so he's like, look at that girl over there. And so Jackie Chan's like, oh? And he, like, turns and looks at him, and then he's like, I knew it was you, you bastard. And so he tells Tien, and he's revealed to be Jackie Chan, just to the two of them, or maybe Chiaotzu as well. But
and it's also, as soon as Tien finds out it's Jackie Chan is Master Roshi, he's like, fuck you. I don't like you. I'm an asshole.
Yeah, this is who I am. I am a bad man. And so there's more talking, and then Tien uses a Kamehameha at some point, right?
Yeah, just to be a dick, and it's just like, all right,
like,
fuck.
He's like, you
can
think
anyone
this
in the
is...
show not use it?
Right, exactly. He's like, you think this is your special move, and then he just like uses it. He's like never done it before. He just like does it. And then at that point, Master Roshi's like, all right, it's time to step down. Like, these guys are, you know, it's time to pass the torch here. So he just jumps out of the ring.
Well, it was an interesting way that he left it, too. This is, I really enjoyed this part of this arc. And he goes into this whole spiel about, Tien is like, I'm a killer, like, I'm a jerk, I'm a dick. And he's like, maybe you are. And he's like, but goes into this whole thing, but it's like, but if, like, I don't think you'll ever be, like, as good as Tao was, or I don't think that's really what, like, you really want to be. And he's like, but maybe you are. Have fun. And just deuces out. And I thought it was interesting. And then another fun thing is that he doesn't go back to the tournament. He just leaves the tournament. Right. And Krillin is like, where's Jackie? Like, where are you going? He's like, where are you going, Jackie Chun? And Goku very calmly is just, I think he's going away now. And thus signifying an end to an era. And no one questions it. I thought it was very well done. A very nice retirement for Jackie Chun. I
thought so too. And also just want to note that when Jackie Chun, like, leaves the ring on his own free will, Tien is pissed about this, right?
Yeah, he's not happy.
He wanted to win, like, through his skill. Like, he did not want it to end this way. And so Jackie Chun, or Master Roshi is, like, in his head at this point. And he's, like, really thinking about, like, who he is and who he's gonna be and what, you know, what journey, what path he's really taking. So that seed is really planted, and we'll continue to see that. The
morality seed, I think, is a fair thing to call it. Like, he's, you know, he has doubts now that he's never had before.
Yeah, he does kind of get through to him a little bit. Great episode. A lot of, again, like, high, fast-paced action. We see a lot of good ones. This is definitely one you don't want to skip.
Speaking of skipping, you know, depending on who you are, this next fight could could be skippable, I guess.
Yeah,
95 is Goku versus Krillin. Mm-hmm. So match 6 commences between Goku and Krillin. Master Roshi talks with Tien Shinhan about the error of his ways. Mm-hmm. We do see, again, we're carrying over from the last episode, that Tien's acting a little bit different. We know what Chun has gotten into his head. Mm-hmm. And, I wanted to like this fight, and I think there's good parts to this fight, but it's so hard for me to invest in something where it's like, okay, like, come on.
Yeah.
You know you can't win, Krillin.
We know what's going to happen. But, I mean, it's still a fun fight, because
they do a good job of keeping it.
We haven't seen them fight before, and they are both very capable. They're both very capable, so... I mean, before Tien, Krillin was probably, like, number 2. So he's like, probably number 3 on, like, a purely, like, how strong is everybody. I would probably put him at, well, maybe number 4. He's not as strong as Roshi, I don't think. So he's still a really good fighter, though.
Yeah, no, he's not as strong as Master Roshi. I don't know if he ever surpasses Master Roshi, honestly. Well, that's a discussion for years in the future when we're on to Dragon Ball Super, everybody.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. But we get some good, some more Tien and Roshi conversations, because Roshi's just, like, out doing something. I can't remember. And Tien, like, approaches him and starts, like, kind of berating him. He's like, why did you do that? Like, what?
Like, you robbed me of my victory.
Yeah. So he kind of just, like, continues to say the same things to Tien. He says, like, the world could use new heroes or something like that. And so he's really, like, he says he's just babbling and that he's just not making any sense and he'll never do that. But he also, he went out of his way to talk to him. So he must, like, have some sort of respect for what he's saying, you know?
If nothing else, he has respect for him as a martial artist after their fight.
Right. And he is thinking about, like, he's like, Master Shen is like, maybe he's not the guy for me because he's so, like, aggressive and maybe I am not realizing my full potential. So we'll get some more of that. But
I mean, going to the fight was like, it's nothing really crazy with the Goku Krillin thing. We do see a one-time use technique of the balloon technique from Krillin, where he basically sucks a bunch of air into his body and slows his descent, and then causing Goku to miss his kick.
He becomes like Super Mario when he gets the balloon, and he, like, just becomes really fat and he can float. He basically does that, and I'm like, I was thinking about that, and I was like, from an anatomy standpoint, I was like, how the hell does that work? Like,
most definitely.
So that was kind of stupid, I thought.
I also, the one thing I will say I enjoyed about this was everyone was really confused on who they should cheer for. And Poir fucking is an instigator. And it's like, you're a Goku sympathizer. And, like, and then Oolong starts in on it, too. So that was pretty silly.
They're all, like, taking sides. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we end the match with them being evenly matched, one could say.
Mm-hmm. And then that brings us to 96, which is called Tails' Tale. Goku defeats Krillin in the semifinals and proceeds to the final against Tien. So they start to kind of heat up a little bit. Like, you can tell, like, okay, the fight becomes a little bit less friendly. Like, they're kind of actually attacking each other now. And Krillin does a real jerk thing here, and he grabs Goku's tail, and
I knew this was going to happen when this fight started. I was like, that's what Krillin always does. He always goes back to fighting dirty.
Yes, because all the way back to the Rock.
The training. The Rock, yeah, man.
Where he, has the fake rock or whatever. It's the same thing. So this exposes his weakness to everybody in the entire ring, including Tien. So Tien's like, oh, he has a weakness now. Thanks, Krillin. But then we learn that Goku's been training his tail. So it actually doesn't work at all, and he was pretending to be paralyzed. So
that's where this fight pretty much turns. Is like Krillin throws his ace, grabs Goku's tail, and he's like, "I fucking did it. Fuck you bitches that doubted me. I'm the best." And then Goku's like, "Just kidding. I'm a god." And so then we start to see Goku just step it up, and that's at this point Tien's paying attention. They're done with their conversation, and you see Goku just straight up disappear. He's gone. No one can find him. And it goes on for a while. Like, this is not an after image. This is not I jumped in the air. This is, I'm gone. You can't find me. And they pan to the audience. They pan to everyone. And Tien looks nervous. And finally, towards the end, you start to hear it. And Goku's moving so fast around the ring, no one can see him. And even Tien can't see him until he really focuses. And then you just see, like, 4 quick hits to Krillin, and boom, over.
He's out. He's out. Yep.
It was the wrap-up that we needed to that fight, because if it would have gone on any longer, I would have been upset.
Yeah, and there are no hard feelings at the end, right? They're still gross. And they
and you have to hope that was going to happen.
Goku's like, "You did a good job, but I wish you hadn't grabbed my tail." Whatever.
And then we move on to the finals, and 97, which is Goku versus Tien. The final match begins against the two of them.
That's it. Yep. And when I was going into this, I couldn't remember who won. I didn't.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember. For some reason, I didn't think Goku ever won a tournament, or maybe he won. Couldn't remember, and I was like, so it was good for me to watch because I was like, I don't really know how this plays out.
And we won't spoil this. We'll kind of go through the fight and take it from the top.
Tien is still thinking about what Master Roshi said, and that's kind of a ongoing thing through the fight, and the rest.
Through the remainder of the arc, and then the first half of this episode is all just set up. Yamcha gets out of the hospital because he wants to go. Oolong left the hotel room early to get a seat. Or to get good spots for everyone, so he's transformed into a monster, and then Poir comes dressed up as a lady monster and was like, "Is this area taken?" And he's like, "Oh my god, yeah, you can come stand here, I'm a pussy." And then it's Poir, and that's it. There's no substance, that was just all it was.
But neither of them knew that it was the other one, so it was like kind of funny. And they did a similar gag in the first arc. But,
no, I know Poir knew. Poir knew this time.
Oh, did Poir know? Okay.
Yeah, Poir knew this time.
He did it so that nobody would stand next to him and that he could get a good seat, basically. This was all just a ploy to get a good seat. But it was definitely not really necessary, but it's kind of funny. So the fight starts at like the halfway point through the episode, and Goku gets hit with a Dodon Ray, like right away. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, he gets hit like head on.
Tien really goes into this fight with the essence of I'm rejecting every single thing that Master Roshi's been saying to me. I'm gonna come out, I'm gonna fuck this dude up, and that's it. And so he comes out, Dodon Ray beats the shit out of Goku, and he's like, "Fuck you, we're done."
Yeah, and then Goku does his disappearing act again, where he moves super fast, but Tien can see it, and just hits him. Really, just gets a few good hits in. Goku's like just kind of like limp, and he picks him up by his shirt, and he's like, "All right, this is it. It's over." That was the whole fight. But we got 4 episodes to go. So, episode 98, unless you have anything to add.
No, I mean, it's pretty much, Tien wins round 1.
Yeah, basically. 98, Victory's Edge. Goku begins to use his battle strength. Having used his tournament strength up until that point, he reveals. Goku steals Master Roshi's sunglasses to counter a solar flare, and Goku is mysteriously paralyzed by an unknown force. So at this point, Tien is kind of toying with Goku, but he does wake up. And then he says he's not going to hold back, and he says he's been holding back for the...
Goku is toying with Tien.
Yes. Well, no, I thought Tien was kind of toying with Goku, because he does this volleyball thing. He's like hitting him up in the air, and he spikes him down, and I thought he was just kind of like messing around.
I mean, yeah, I did. I will say in this episode, the face that Tien makes when he says the volleyball technique, and then it's priceless, man.
It was almost like a Ginyu Farce moment because it was like super, really ridiculous.
Yeah. There was also, I mean, we didn't touch on it, but there was a couple of funny faces throughout this arc. Yamcha gets his foot stepped on by Bulma in one episode, and that's a good face.
It's a ridiculous face. You need to see it.
But going back, we don't have any way to give you the image, but you should.
We can't do it justice by talking about it. You just need to find it. So they both use after image, and they're both kind of like hitting the after images while they're.
It's like 3 or 4 after images a piece.
Yeah. Goku gets a hit in. Tien uses the solar flare again, but Goku stole some sunglasses because he knew it was coming, and so he could see Tien kind of counterattack afterwards. Those must be some real strong sunglasses because, I mean, we see villains a long ways off, but, the solar flare does its trick, so they should have been wearing sunglasses, I guess.
Those boys are polarized.
They are polarized.
But I do think we need to touch on the speed. That's what everyone goes back to, is the speed that Goku got to Master Roshi's sunglasses and got them on his face. Because there's not a lot of time. And so everyone comments on that. And then Krillin does comment, like, Master Roshi, you look different without your sunglasses on. Very familiar.
Oh, yeah.
And that's all you get.
I recognize you. Yeah.
So we see the solar flare. Tien tries to do the same thing, but Goku says no. And I think the count gets to 7.
Yeah.
On Tien.
I believe so. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And then we're fighting more, and all of a sudden Goku gets immobilized.
Yep. And this is like where round 3 starts, kind of. Round 3.
Yep. And so that kind of leads us into the next episode.
Yep. And I was like, oh my god, another guy who can freeze you in place. I am so sick of this. Like,
yeah.
General Blue did it, and the guy from the last tournament did it, the dinosaur guy, and now Tien's doing it. And I kind of forgot how it played out, but that's kind of where we leave off. So that brings us to 99, if you want to take that one, John.
Yeah. So this is Tien's insurrection. Chaozu uses his telekinesis to give Tien Shinhan an edge in the fight. Master Roshi rids Master Shen from Papaya Island after the latter forced Chaozu to rig the match. Tien Shinhan sprouts 2 additional arms. Mm-hmm. You really worded that in a glorious way. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, you're welcome. Just keeping you on your toes there.
Yeah, okay. This was a cool episode. A lot of talking, not a ton of fighting, but you get a big advancement in the plot. A lot of internal monologues, or not internal monologues. But
Tien takes a turn in this fight, in this episode, because we learn that it's actually Chiaotzu that's paralyzing Goku, and so interfering with the fight, because Master Shen is telling him to do it. And so this happens multiple times where Goku gets frozen, Tien just wails on him super hard.
It's like 3 or 4 exchanges in a row.
Yeah, he really gets it. He really just gets his ass kicked here. Yamcha realizes what's going on. Tien doesn't know that this is happening.
Yes.
And then Launch walks over with a giant mallet, tries to hit Chiaotzu over the head with it, but Master Shen, hits her, and she flies off in the background.
Yeah. So the one thing to note here is that when Launch sneaks up and hits him with the hammer, he doesn't look behind him. He simply extends his arm out with his pinky, stops the hammer, flicks his pinky, and sends Launch flying at least 100 yards away.
Yeah.
And she crashes into a wall and is presumably dead upon impact.
That's the death of Launch.
Yeah.
So
We're kidding,
Tien,
by the way. She doesn't die.
no, she doesn't die. Tien realizes what is happening, and he's upset about this, right? Because he wants to win on his own. So him and Master Shen kind of start talking to each other telepathically, I think.
And basically Tien is saying, I don't want to kill Goku, I want him in the tournament. And Jen is basically like, fuck you, he killed my brother. You should like, murder him in front of thousands of people. Yeah.
And so he tells Chiaotzu to paralyze both of them, but Chiaotzu won't do it. And so then Shen is going to hurt Chiaotzu for not listening. And then Master Roshi uses a Kamehameha wave from the other side of the tournament. It goes across the arena.
It's the best aim you've ever seen a Kamehameha in your life. It's small enough to hit one single person.
And it was a little bit silly because usually when you get hit by a Kamehameha wave, there's like an impact, right?
Mm-hmm.
But instead, it hits Master Shen, and it just carries him away. Like, it just continues to go. And it was almost like a Jesse and James Team Rocket moment where he just like gets thrown way, way far away.
All you were missing was the twinkle at the end.
Yeah, the twinkle. Yeah, we didn't get that, but so now Master Shen is like not here anymore, and we don't see him again in this arc. So now we're back to fighting. There's no more. Tien does do a little, not a monologue, but a little statement to Goku. He's like, I have betrayed my master and forsaken my school. This fight is all I have now. So it's been pretty much, raw knuckles. This is all there is to it. Let's get down. Right. And he lets Goku hit him a few times to make up for.
Yeah, Goku goes on the offensive.
Yeah, Tien lets his guard down intentionally so that it's even from earlier.
Although I will say that he doesn't make it look intentional at first. I would say, like, you kind of get the picture, but at first it's just like, oh, dope, like Goku, like we're still doing all right, and then he gets up and he's
later,
like,
he admits the remark, and
yeah.
And then the episode ends with him starting to use a new move, so he starts to glow, and then we see like his back start to kind of like quiver, and like these like arms start to come out of his back, and he basically turns himself into Goro from Mortal Kombat, which I totally forgot about, and I thought was pretty wild. So that kind of concludes round 3. Round 3 is now over,
and we're getting right into it with episode 100
into round
here.
4. We got 2 to go.
Yeah, the Spirit Cannon. This is a great episode. We get another move or another technique that carries through, and this becomes Tien Shinhan's signature move. Tien Shinhan uses the Tri-Beam to destroy the World Martial Arts Tournament ring. I like your first sentence here. Thinking about using 4 arms effectively makes my brain hurt.
Yeah, just like trying to think about how you would like
the logistics of it all.
Yeah, I was like, I can't do it. But they're going at it in round 4 here. Tien is on the offensive. He grabs all 4 of Goku's limbs, both ankles and wrists, and is headbutting him in the stomach like a bunch
over
of
his head. Yeah, he like has him over his head, and he's pulling him down into his head.
Yeah, pretty brutal.
And then Goku uses tail whip.
Yes, he hits him with his tail to get out of it. And Tien, they have this moment where they're like even, and Tien is like on the ground, like with his like face down, but he's kind of like.
And Goku has him by his legs underneath his elbows. So as Tien's legs are underneath his elbows, Tien's face down, and
he's
Goku
almost doing like a downward dog. He's like
it's called the Wall of Jericho, I believe.
Okay.
It's a wrestling move because I always read the comments on Reddit. It's called the Wall of Jericho, if I'm remembering correctly. Now there's another move used in this too that I don't remember, so don't crucify me. But yeah, so that's what it's called to anyone who's a wrestling fanatic.
So Goku's got Tien by the ankles, and then Tien gets Goku by the neck with his 2 new arms. So they're kind of like in this stalemate.
I also want to point out that the announcer at this point gets on stage, gets onto the tournament thing, and goes and tries to ask Tien. He's like, "How are you feeling right now, Tien?" And Tien's like, "I'm getting my legs pulled out of my fucking socket. How do you think I feel?" Go away. I thought that was silly.
Then, they both kind of get out of it, and they both get up after some counting, and Tien starts talking about he's going to use his finishing move, and we're kind of like, what is about to happen? And so he
tells Goku, he says, when it happens, dodge it, or get out of the way. He tells him, don't get hit.
Because I don't want to kill you.
Yeah, so he's like, I have no desire to kill you.
Master Roshi's like, no, don't do this move. Do not do this. And so he starts to talk about the tri-beam. Roshi says, like, when it's used, it actually shortens your own life when you use it. So there's some recoil there, some permanent recoil to your lifespan. So Tien kind of like starts to hover above the arena, and he does his like classic, like puts his hands up like in front of his face, and he has like the triangle or the diamond that he can see through, and he like looks at the arena and he fires the blast, and it looks like a nuclear bomb went off. There's like a bunch of super bright light and really heavy wind, and the dust clears and the whole tournament's gone. It's just a hole in the ground. So Tien has a really good aim. And everyone's like, where's Goku? Where is he? He's gone. And I think that brings us to the end of round 4.
Yeah, and, the announcer, or the narrator, he's, find out the conclusion of this martial arts tournament on the next episode. So we have, this is our wrap-up episode.
Yep.
And a lot happens here. This is a big episode, and we'll try to do it. We'll try to do it relatively quickly because I know we're running a little bit longer than we normally do.
Yeah, with all these episodes.
But episode 101, yeah, I mean it's 18 episodes. What do you people want from us?
What are you gonna do? Told you to buckle up, guys.
Yeah. But so 101 is called The Fallen. Shinhan manages to win the tournament from Goku by a split second. Shinhan is convinced by Master Roshi to switch sides and join the Z Fighters. Krillin is killed by an unknown murderer. Now, I know it's a lot for us to say in one episode explanation, but let's break it down a little bit more. Yeah. So we find out first, Goku's alive. First things first.
Yes.
So he jumped super high.
Super high. He's Tien's up in the air, and then Tien looks up, and he can barely even see him. He's like so high up.
Yeah.
He's like a mile in the sky.
Like, I imagine breathing is difficult.
Right. And so Tien also goes up there because he can fly and sky dance. And he kind of tells Goku his plan, and that was that he didn't want to actually hit Goku. He wanted to destroy the ring, and since Goku can't fly, he's just he's just going to fall out of bounds no matter what. So no matter where he lands, he's out because Tien can stay above ground, and Goku's just going to fall, and that's going to be the end.
So we see Goku charge up a Kamehameha wave to try to hit Tien, which I remember watching this, and I was like, oh, that's a horrible idea. Like, he can just move out of the way. And my feelings were reflected by pretty much everyone in the show. Master Roshi's like, don't do it. You're going to waste your time. That wave doesn't work on Tien. Like, just don't do it. So very last...
Yet, I don't think, during the fight.
No, he had not used it yet. So at the very last second, Goku turns around and uses the Kamehameha to push himself forward. And then just smashes into Tien.
Yes.
And so now we have both of them falling because he hit Tien like right in the rib cage. And Tien's pretty. And and we also didn't touch on the tri-beam cannon on what it does to you, which is every time it makes you super weak, and it literally shortens your life with every use.
That. Yeah.
Oh, you did? Okay, I apologize. I missed that.
No, that's all right. What Goku did kind of reminded me of You ever play like Grand Theft Auto, Vice City, or any of those old ones where you get the tank and you turn the turret around and you fire it and it makes the tank go super fast? You ever done that? It's incredibly fun. That's what that reminded me of. Using an attack to just make yourself faster. So at this point, they're kind of both falling, and so it's like, wow, whoever hits the ground first is out. The other one's gonna win. So they're like, it shows like this first person view of them like falling like towards the city and the streets and people getting out of the way, and there's a oncoming car, and Goku smashes into this car, and then Tien hits the ground like a second afterwards. So
yeah. So and the announcer is saying the whole time that after he gets on like a plane thing.
Yeah. He pulls out a dino cap and takes off to follow them.
And so he's narrating from the air, and it starts off with Tien being ahead as far as like altitude goes. Like Tien's gonna win. So Goku uses one last Kamehameha, stops himself, so he's gonna win. But Tien just, luck of the draw. And so Goku is essentially robbed of the World Martial Arts Tournament. But, I mean, who could say? One could say that when Chaozu paralyzed him, that by association, Tien was disqualified regardless of whether or not he left the school.
In my heart, Goku won, I think. Because of that.
So, we see it. The crowd got there remarkably fast.
There's like a
they
swarm.
They swarm over Goku. It's the middle of the street. No one's checked on the guy who got his windshield smashed in by a 16-year-old boy.
Right.
And you see Tien kind of shocked, and Master Roshi kind of communicate with him telepathically and like saying like, "Hey, this is what happens when you do the right thing. Like, how does it feel?" And he's like, there is a downside. People might actually like you. And you're like, all right, Roshi, let's calm down a little bit.
Right.
But then they end up going to dinner, like they always do.
Yeah, everybody, including Tien.
And Tien offers to split the money with Goku. Goku doesn't want it, and so Tien offers to pay.
Because Tien was like, well, really, I just got lucky. We should split this. And Goku's like, I don't even know what I would spend it on. And then even Yamcha and Tien make amends. Yamcha's like, you did a good fight or whatever. You can tell Tien's changed at this point, right? So Yamcha does a pretty good thing. I mean, the dude just broke his leg, and I was like, it's okay. We also learned that Launch has a crush on Tien.
Oh, this was my favorite part of this entire arc, man. It's so worth it to just watch it. Like, we can't describe to you how great it is to see the sunset on Launch's blonde hair, blushing, like, hands down at her side. She's like, you come back to Master Roshi's house, Tien. I promise I'll take real good care of you for good. And it's
I'll
just...
cook for you.
Yeah, and then when he's like, no, I don't think we can. Like regardless, we were still members of Master Crane's school. Like, I don't think we're allowed to switch. And she's like, if you come, I promise not to cook for you. And it's just great. It's just real quality stuff.
Yeah, I liked it. It was it was sweet.
Launch is the biggest missing piece of Dragon Ball Z for me. I wish it's the biggest betrayal.
Yeah, and it's cool to see blonde Launch like have feelings for somebody. I thought that was pretty cool because she's always just like aggressive and everything, and she was actually really sweet, and she's a fan of Tien. So it ends.
So they all are going out to going out to dinner. And so we realize, or Goku realizes that, first of all, his clothes are fucked. So Krillin gives him, I think, his gi.
Yeah, he does.
And then Goku's like, I left my power pole and my grandpa's Dragon Ball back at the stadium. Which also, like, no one thought to grab it. Like, homie, come on.
I know.
So he's gonna go back and get it, and Krillin's like, don't worry about it. I got it. I got you, homie. You're tired. Go eat. And so they do this like real long goodbye. They have like a still image of Krillin standing in the sunset with like a laughing behind him. They show a real long of him running away. Goku, you can tell Goku has a funny feeling. And so then
he gets a premonition. He's like, something is wrong.
It just doesn't feel right. And so and they're at the restaurant. Everyone's eating. Goku's not. And so Goku's like, I'm not going to eat until Krillin gets here. And that's when, like, you kind of hear the scream go off in Goku's head. And you're like, fuck.
Yeah.
Goku gets up, speeds out of the restaurant.
Everyone's like, where are you going?
Yeah. No one else has seen this except for him. He runs, he gets back, and you see Krillin. And he's been murdered.
Krillin's dead.
And
I knew this was coming, but I didn't know when.
Yeah.
So it was like, oh, that's how they end it. Okay. Because he's dead. You're like, what the hell just happened?
Yep. The announcer says a monster came and took the Dragon Ball and a list of names from the tournament. And that's all we get.
Yeah. Yeah.
So next arc is one of my favorites. It's great. We won't spoil anything.
King Piccolo, part 1. Because from now on, we are doing multiple parts for each arc because there's a lot to talk about, and we don't want them to be like 2.5 hours long. So we're gonna do part 1, part 2, and that's gonna be a theme moving forward through the whole podcast.
And let us know too how you like that. We talked about it a decent amount, and we really think that's going to be the best way to do it for all parties involved. You know, there might be exceptions to it depending on like specific arcs.
Yeah, because it's when you have so many, it's also hard to recall everything.
Yeah,
it's like so long ago.
Keep in mind, we only watch one episode a day.
Right.
So
it was. That's what we're going to do for the future, but where would you rank this arc, just to wrap it up?
This is a hard one for me. I loved this arc when I went and watched Dragon Ball through the first time. Going back and rewatching it this time, I did not care for it as much. And as I'm sure people will notice, Connor isn't with us today. He had some issues with some scheduling, but he was saying that he didn't really care for this arc too much. Right. And I think that I was watching it with the same nostalgia, and I'm like, yeah, it's great. And then he said something, and I was like, and you said it before, there's a lot of filler in this arc.
It's pretty bloated.
Yeah.
In my head, I was like, this is going to be like the best arc yet.
That's what I was thinking too.
And it's very, the arc is very bottom heavy, I feel like. The second half of the arc, way better than the first half. The first half kind of drags, and it really could use like a cut. I do still think it's a good arc, but I wish it wasn't so long.
Yeah.
I think the best parts of the arc are some of the best episodes we've had yet. But
yes,
it gets weighed down by all of that unnecessary
it gets lost
stuff.
Yeah. I will say this, like, as far as filler goes, like, the filler in this, yeah, it was bloated, but there was still some funny parts. We didn't even touch on the dude with one eye randomly in an episode. They're, like, cut to a few random spectators, and then it's just a dude with one eye in a straw hat, and he's like, I quit my job to be here. And then there's a lady, and she goes, I'm really fine with these fights as long as there's no violence.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, not all the filler was bad. There was some fun stuff in there.
And a lot of it's fun. It's just, there was a lot of it.
There was a lot of it.
I would probably rank this arc maybe 3rd. I would still say World Tournament was my favorite arc.
That's probably my favorite
one. And then General Tao, or or Mercenary Tao with General Red, that saga. And then this one probably underneath it.
For the sake of being different, I would say, I mean, the first World Martial Arts Tournament will forever be one of my favorite arcs in this whole show. But I would say second would be, I don't know. I really enjoyed the first round of getting the Dragon Balls. It's just a really nice opening to the show.
Yeah. The Pilaf Saga.
Yeah, I thought it was good. So right now that's my number 2, and then Tao probably number 3. So I would say this one's probably 4.
Yeah.
And Muscle Tower is just way down at the bottom.
Way down there.
Trying to forget.
Yes.
Trying to forget about that one.
I'm working on it. I'm talking to my therapist about it.
Good.
About repressing it. So we'll see you guys in a couple of weeks. So we're going to do, I think it's going to be every other week for a little while now. And we've got 4 episodes left in Dragon Ball. And then we move on to Z. So we're really making some progress here.
Yeah. Are we going to do any movies?
Yeah, we're gonna do all the movies.
For Dragon Ball. When are we going to do the
the Dragon Ball movies? They're not in the plan right now.
Okay. We can come back to those. They're fun. I don't think there's really anything that's like worthwhile though and necessary.
It's like retelling of old stories and stuff, like fairy tales and like recaps of arcs and stuff. So it's not like anything like cool new villains or whatever. But so we're making some real progress. We're on season 4 now, and there's 5 seasons of Dragon Ball. So look forward to hearing from you guys about what you liked, what you didn't like. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you guys in a couple weeks.
See you later.